Yeah, we have writers all over the world, and I'm in close contact with them, of course, and together we decide what the important stories of the day are, and we report on them. That's as easy as it is.
Well, that's quite an oversimplification, I imagine. I mean, you have international news around tech that's cutting edge in every country. So how is that operation run, really?
So we use a lot of tools. We have Slack, obviously, and that's what we use to talk and discuss all the stories and titles mainly. But our writers are also very independent. So a lot of the stories they just come up with, and I support. And sometimes there will be stories where we look at them afterwards, after they've been published. So tech publishing is such a competitive market that sometimes when there's a story, it can, like, the difference between being the number one story and the number 100 can be, 3 minutes, and it takes about 10 minutes to write the post. So there's not a lot of time to wait for like an hour for somebody to say, oh, like, yeah, sure, go ahead and write that. That's just too late.
What sorts of advice would you offer to blogs that are setting out in terms of identifying writers? What's your process?
It's very tough to find good writers because it's such a demanding job. You have to know where to find the stories, then at the same time write them, find the angle that's interesting. And what we've seen is that just reporting the news is not enough anymore. The news is sort of a commodity. If the Apple comes out with a new iPhone, the place to find out everything about the new iPhone is just with Apple, right? So what your blog can bring, or your opinion, is your opinion. So is it a good phone? Is it a bad phone? What sucks about it? What's great about it? And that's what we try to focus on. But sometimes some writers, they don't really have an opinion. They're like, no, I just want to bring the facts. We're like, no, but the facts everybody already has. What we need is that you add something to the story. And those people are hard to find.
How do you find them?
I think it's a constant struggle. So it's not something we do every now and then. We're just always looking for good people, and I talk to potential new writers like every day, and they know this. So a lot of them just send us emails or tweet at us and say, hey, here's an example post of what I did. This is something you're interested in, and then we talk. And so our advantage is that we have a successful and a well-known brand, and so people like to work for us, so we have a lot of people just showing up at the doorstep, the virtual doorstep.
What would be your top 5 tips for running a successful blog, irrespective of subject?
All right, you got to keep track. But so I think the hardest part of building a blog is that you have to be really patient, right? So it takes 10 years to build a brand, and that's not that's really true. It takes 10 years to build a brand. So you've got to be willing to do that. I've seen blogs fail because they thought, like, all right, we'll do this thing, we'll spend a year, and then we'll sell ads, and we'll be famous, and those don't make it. So tenacity is one part. I think the second one is voice. So you need a unique voice. If you're just going to say, well, I'm going to report on the news, like, yeah, get back in line, because that's what everybody's doing, and it's not working for anybody really. The brands that stand out, they have a unique voice. They have maybe a sense of humor that people like, or a different way of looking at things. So that's something that you need. I think a genuine interest is also important. Like if you see an opportunity, you say like, hey, there's money in sports, I'm gonna do that. That's not gonna work. Like if you're really passionate about sports and that's what you think about day and night, and you can show people that you have this passion, then there's an opportunity. The fourth is, I think that if you're in news or if you have a blog, you'll spend as much time on your business model as on just writing. And the reason for that is that there is no business model. So we're all reinventing publishing as we speak. And of course there's something to do with ads, but it's only a small part. It's not going to fix the whole problem. You can have an event, which is a business model, but it won't be only one. So you'll be constantly finding out, like, how do I make money? What is the next opportunity? What's the other thing I can monetize? I think the fifth thing is people. So it's just really all about people, and it's the biggest mistake startups make, where they go like, well, if we grow, we'll just hire a bunch of people, and it's nothing further from the truth. And it's just so much harder than that. And the people you hire are making your brands. It's not like you hire people to have this brand and then make it bigger or something. That's not how it works. You hire people and that changes who you are. So that's something you've got to invest a lot of time in, just finding the right people.
Let's talk just a moment about the conference. The motto this year is calling all crazy ones. What's the thinking behind that?
Well, it's nice to not explain it, right? I think people get a feeling of what it means when they read it. I think you'll see if you walk around at this conference that it's different than any other conference you've been to. Weird things happen, and so you gotta enjoy that. And I think our audience enjoys it. They go in and they're like, this is not your typical business conference, right? The usual business conference, people don't show up here, and if they do, they're amazed. So that's something that we wanted to show with that line. We're like, all right, if you're crazy enough to come to Amsterdam and come to this conference, you'll probably enjoy it.
So where next for the next web?
Well, we really believe that technology is changing the world and for the better. And we think there's a large group of people around the world. We think about 300 million right now. That's our sort of audience we think we should be able to reach. And we reach about 10 million of those, we think. And so just right now, I think we could grow 30 times and still, be okay. And I think in 5 years, that number is going to be 500 or 600 million. So there's just such a huge opportunity, and that's just in like number of people. At the same time, we believe that the next 10 years are going to be even weirder, more exciting, faster changing than the past 10 years. So we're just so excited. It doesn't feel like, some people say like, wow, you really put on a big show, so congratulations on being successful. And we're like, well, no, we're just getting started, right? We're halfway there, maybe not even, which is depressing or exciting, depending on how you look at it. And we think it's very exciting.